So in the 1970s, as the entire world was migrating away from larger calibers like 45 ACP into much more higher capacity, smaller bore 9mm pistols, this was known as the era of the Wonder Nines. The era of the Wonder 9 pistol was basically encapsulated by the Browning High Power, the Beretta Model 92, the CZ75, other pistols like it, etc., that were full-size 9mm pistols with double stack capacity, comparing old magazines of old that had 7 to 8 rounds, and now the new standard was 14 or even 15 rounds of ammo in a flush fit magazine. So, amongst all of this, Smith & Wesson wanted to get a little piece of the pie. So what they did was they grabbed the original Smith & Wesson Model 39, which was their double single action single stack 9mm pistol, and they essentially turned it into a double stack, which resulted in this guy right here, the Smith & Wesson Model 59. The Smith & Wesson Model 59, for its time, was quite the advanced pistol. It actually utilized an aluminum alloy frame, which drastically cut down the weight of previous steel model frame guns, making it a lot easier to carry. So the pistol, much like the CZ75s, the Beretta 92s, etc., the pistol is double and single action, meaning that the first trigger pull is actually a nice long heavy trigger pull, and then everything after that is going to be a nice short single action pull. And much like the Beretta 92, this gun features a safety decocker, meaning that if the pistol is cocked, you can actually safely decock the hammer by turning on the safety just like so, and then immediately putting it back to fire, and then you can actually safely carry the gun with a round in the chamber, and then that first trigger pull is just going to be that extra nice long heavy trigger pull that's a little more safer to carry. But above all, the defining trait for this pistol was high capacity for the time. This pistol actually holds 14 rounds of 9mm in its magazine, which in 1971, when this was introduced, was a relatively new thing. You got to take in mind that at the time when this pistol was released, even though a 14 or even 15 round full-size 9mm handgun is now the modern standard, in the 1970s, this was brand spanking new technology. This was the time when guns like the 1911 were king, where 7 rounds of 45 ACP or 7 rounds, 8 rounds of 9mm was the norm. So once we discovered the ability to put double stack magazines into pistol formats, it changed the game. So the Smith & Wesson Model 59 was actually quite popular for its time when it came out. This was particularly popular with military and law enforcement back in the day. As expected for Smith & Wesson quality, the double action is incredible, the single action is great, the action is smooth, all the machining is top-notch. So this is a wonderful relic of its time, and especially in as good of a condition that it is right here.